The crossbow string quivered, steady after 5 years of hunting. The door creaked.
Mark of the burning field. You torched an orc settlement, killed 24 children.
Wait. Look behind me. They're alive. I saved them.
7 small half-orc children stared at her, tusks too big for their faces, trembling.
The warrant said no survivors, but these children, they're right here.
The warrant lies. I mutinied against the order. I carried them out of the fire.
Vesra's finger tightened on the trigger, but her hand shook for the first time in years.
Please, don't. He's all we have. He feeds us, teaches us. Don't take him.
She had tracked him across 3 kingdoms. Now she saw a reflection of the truth she'd been given.
The crossbow stayed aimed at his heart, but the hunt had just become something else. 5 years earlier, she stood in a cold stone hall when the clan handed her the warrant. The warrant read, Mark Edris, known as the Burning Field, wanted for the massacre at Riven. 24 children dead.
24 children. She knew their faces. She had taught some to shoot.
She rode to the settlement. The ruins still smoked. A charred doll lay in the ash. She knelt and picked it up.
I will find you, Mark Edris. I will not rest until you face justice.
For 5 years, she tracked him through rain, snow, and desert. She learned to read tracks like a predator, always one step behind. 5 years passed. She crossed 3 kingdoms. The hunt consumed her. Every lead ended at this orphanage, where she finally cornered him. And the children. Vesra didn't lower the crossbow, but her fingers slid off the trigger.
If you didn't burn that village, who did? And why does the warrant name you?
I'll tell you everything, but first, read this.
He handed her a thick parchment, folded and stained with old blood. The order read, Burn the Riven settlement. No survivors. Signed Commander Gorham Drennock.
Gorham. That's her cousin. The one who always sent gifts for the children.
She had hunted the wrong man for 5 years. The true monster wore her family's name.
He ordered the massacre. I refused, so he made me the scapegoat.
If this was true, she'd been a fool. But if Mark was lying, she needed more.
The crossbow lowered, but her grip tightened on the parchment. The hunt had just turned inside out.
You said you mutinied. Start from the beginning. What happened at Riven?
I was a grunt in the human army, assigned to Commander Gorham's unit. He treated us like his personal execution squad.
He closed his eyes for a moment, then told her how they'd marched on the village at dusk.
Gorham ordered us to set the torches. I told him no. He struck me, called me a coward, but I wouldn't move. When the fire started, I grabbed as many children as I could. Others helped. We got 7 out. The rest.
Vesra watched his hands tremble. The story sounded rehearsed, but the pain in his voice was raw.
These scars, I got them dragging children through burning timbers, not from any battlefield.
Scars like that could come from anything. But why keep the children for 5 years if he only wanted cover? You expect me to believe a human soldier threw away his career to save orc children. Why would you?
The question hung in the air. Mark didn't answer at first, just looked at the children huddled behind him. Then Tala stepped out from behind Mark, her small hands clenched.
He didn't just save us that night. He stayed. For 5 years, he's been our father.
Her voice cracked, but she held Vesra's gaze with the stubbornness of a warrior.
If you take him, you take our home. We've already lost too much.
Ravek, the smallest, pushed forward and grabbed Mark's leg. He pointed up at him.
He tells us bedtime stories. He makes soup when we're sick. That's not what a monster does.
Vesra looked at the boy's trembling lip. The way his small tusks still had years to grow. She had trained herself to see only the mission. But these children were not part of any mission. The crossbow felt heavier now. Not just a weapon, but a question she couldn't answer. Mark still hadn't answered her question, but the children had. and their answer was harder to dismiss. Vezra strode to a rough-hewn table and spread the warrant beside the order, her eyes narrowing.
The warrant says the village burned at midnight, but Gorham's order commanded the attack at dusk. Someone lied.
She compared the seals. The clan stamp on the warrant was crisp, new. The order's wax was old, cracked with age.
If Mark was a soldier under Gorham, how did the clan get his name so fast? Someone fed them a scapegoat.
She traced the route from Riven to the orphanage, leagues of harsh terrain. No fugitive could do it alone.
Mark escaped with 7 children, evading patrols for years, almost as if someone wanted him to look guilty.
The fabrications snapped into place. The warrant was a forgery of convenience, built to shield Gorham.
Her own cousin had used her as a weapon. She had been hunting the wrong man for 5 years.
She folded the documents with care, though her hands trembled with a rage she hadn't felt since the burning field. The hunt for Mark had died. But a new one was born, and this time, the face on the warrant would be her own blood. Vezra turned back to Mark, her eyes still sharp with the sting of betrayal.
You served under my cousin for years. How do I know you aren't just another butcher who grew a conscience too late?
That's the real crime, isn't it? Not just what I did, but what I failed to stop. I was 20 when I enlisted. Gorham promised glory. By the time I saw the truth, I was already covered in it.
He pulled up his sleeve, revealing long, faded welts across his forearm.
These aren't from the fire. They're from the time I refused an order to burn a barn with a family inside. I was lashed for it.
He wears his guilt like armor. But guilt doesn't bring back the children who died before he found his courage.
I am not asking for your forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But look at them. Look at who I became for them.
The fire crackled. Vesra's gaze shifted to the sleeping children, then back to Mark. She didn't trust him, but for the first time, she saw a man instead of a monster.
I'll stay a few days, verify the children's accounts. Nothing more.
Stay as long as you need. The children will tell you everything.
The next morning, a tiny half-orc toddler wobbled up and wrapped her arms around Vezra's leg.
Her tusks are barely nubs. She smells of bread and wood smoke. I can't.
You can help me peel potatoes. I'll show you.
Vezra's hands, accustomed to triggers and blades, fumbled with the knife. Tala laughed. Evenings, she watched Mark serve stew. He knew each child's favorite bowl, their little fears. At night, the children would creep close to her, their small green faces peaceful in sleep.
I've tracked men across mountains, yet these 7 untrained children have cornered me.
The crossbow gathered dust in the corner. The warrant, folded in her belt, felt like a stranger's lie. A dark feathered falcon landed on the windowsill, a tiny capsule strapped to its leg. Vesra unrolled the message. The ink was faded, but the words burned. Gorham silenced 2 witnesses. They recanted before death. The warrant is a forgery. Act.
The final piece. Not just a cover-up. Murder.
She stared at the letter until the characters blurred. 5 years of hunting, built on a cousin's lies.
If I turn this over to the council, it ends Gorham, but it also proves my own blindness.
Her hand shook, but not from weakness. From the weight of what she must do.
I cannot collect the bounty. I must clear Mark's name.
She folded the message and tucked it with the order. The evidence was complete. The hunt for Mark Edris was over. A new hunt had begun, for justice, and for her own kin. Vezra found Mark alone by the dying hearth, her shadow stretching long across the floor.
Mark, I've received word. The warrant against you is a lie, forged to cover a greater crime.
She placed the letter on the table, her finger resting on Gorham's name.
The true murderer is Commander Gorham Drennock, my cousin.
Mark's eyes widened. He stared at the name, his lips moving silently.
Your own blood. and you still hunted me.
I was a fool, but not anymore. I will help you bring him before the council.
Silence fell between them. Heavy with the unspoken cost, her clan would never forgive this.
Why? Why risk everything for a man you hunted for 5 years?
Because the children deserve the truth, and because my cousin must pay.
Mark nodded slowly. They would gather the children, the documents, and ride for the council.
It's a long road. The children will be scared, but they trust you now.
By dawn, the orphanage buzzed. Mark secured dried meat and blankets. Vesra oiled her crossbow. Tala helped pack a small satchel, her face glowing with a mix of fear and excitement.
You'll stay with us the whole way, won't you?
I won't leave your side until this is over.
Vesra tucked the warrant and the order into her belt, then paused, her hand trembling.
When I present this, Gorham will call me traitor. My own clan may never speak my name again.
The cart was loaded. The children, bundled in cloaks, climbed aboard. Mark held the reins. Vesra swung onto her horse, her jaw set. The road ahead would test everything, but she was ready. The forest swallowed the cart path, dappled sunlight slicing through the canopy. Vesra rode point, crossbow ready. She glanced back often, not for threats, but to count 7 small heads bundled in the cart.
You've made this journey before, haven't you? Chasing me.
3 times I thought I had you. Once I was so close I could smell your campfire.
That night, they made camp in a rocky clearing. The children slept, but Vesra and Mark stayed by the fire.
What does justice look like to you, Vesra? An eye for an eye?
It used to be simple, the guilty pay. But I've learned the guilty don't always wear the mask we expect.
I wore that mask for you, but I also wore it for myself, to remind me of what I failed to stop.
The fire popped. Vesra did not answer, but her hand moved closer to the hilt of her blade. Not in threat, but in shared understanding. An owl cried in the dark. Somewhere, beyond the trees, Gorham's agents might be listening. The attack came without warning. A crossbow bolt slammed into the cart's side, inches from a child's head.
Down, flat in the cart. Now.
She wheeled her horse and fired in one motion. The bolt struck true, dropping a scout from the rocks. Mark grabbed a splintered cart pole and planted himself between the attackers and the children.
Stay behind me. Keep your heads down.
A second scout lunged at Vesra. She deflected his blade with her crossbow, but the edge raked her forearm.
The cut was deep. She felt the warmth of blood spreading. She forced her hand to steady.
She dropped the crossbow, drew her sword, and drove the scout back into the rocks. Mark swung his staff with a farmer's strength, cracking an orc's jaw and sending him sprawling.
Vesra, your arm. The bleeding won't stop. We need to bind it now.
Mark tore a strip from his tunic and bound her arm tightly. The bleeding slowed, but her fingers were cold.
You need rest. Another fight like that and you'll bleed out.
Every hour we delay gives Gorham time to send more hunters. I'll rest when the council hears the truth.
2 more days. They pushed through mountain passes, the cart groaning until the orc stronghold carved the skyline. At the gate, 2 armored orcs crossed halberds, barring the way. State your business.
I am Vesra Drenok, bounty hunter. I invoke the council's law of audience. I bring evidence of a crime against the clan.
The guards exchanged looks, then parted. The iron gates groaned open, revealing the heart of orc justice. The council chamber was a crescent of stone benches, 5 elders robed in ceremonial gray. Elder Groth sat at the center.
You stand before the council, child of Drenok. Speak your purpose.
I seek to overturn a warrant. The man I hunted for 5 years is innocent. The true war criminal is Commander Gorham Drennock.
Before the echoes of Vezra's words settled, the chamber doors flung open, and Commander Gorham strode in, armor pristine.
Cousin, I heard you'd finally caught your ghost, but now you bring him here?
He stopped before the council stone, crossing his arms, his tusks glinting in the torchlight.
This bounty hunter has failed her contract for 5 years. Now she invents conspiracies to save her reputation. You bring a convicted war criminal into this hall and expect us to believe your delusions.
The warrant was forged under your command, Gorham. I have the original order with your signature.
A forgery, easily fabricated. You have nothing.
Enough. Let the evidence speak, not the accusations.
Vezra drew the folded parchments from her belt, holding them up for all to see. The council leaned forward. Gorham's jaw tightened, but he said nothing, his eyes promising retribution if she failed.
Step forward, child. Speak only what you remember.
Tala's small boots echoed on the stone. She raised her trembling hand toward Gorham, her voice thin but steady.
I saw him at the village. He rode with the torchbearers and laughed when the fire started, like it was a festival.
A murmur rippled through the council. The elders leaned forward, their faces carved with doubt that had no name yet. Rivek pushed past Mark, tears streaking his cheeks. He pointed at the commander, then back at Mark.
Mark carried me out. Gorham's men shot arrows at us. We hid in a cart for days. He gave us his bread.
The youngest elder closed her eyes, and her gnarled hand tightened on her staff until the knuckles paled.
Children's tales. You cannot seriously.
Silence, Commander. You will be heard in turn.
The children's truth hung in the torch smoke, heavier than any forged document, and the council felt the foundation of the warrant crack. Vezra stepped forward until she stood directly beneath Elder Groth's gaze. She held the order high, the bloodstain still visible.
5 years ago, Commander Gorham Drennock signed this order to burn Riven. His personal seal is here. Compare it to the warrant.
She pressed the document into Elder Groth's outstretched hand. The elder turned it toward the torchlight.
The ink matches the War Office records. This is no forgery.
Gorham lunged forward, his face contorting with rage. That paper is a lie. He swiped for the document.
Release me. That document is a forgery, just like the bounty hunter's honor.
Guards seized his arms, forcing him back. The order remained intact in Groth's steady grip. The council elders passed the order among themselves, each reading the signature with grim recognition.
This order confirms everything the children said. The warrant against Mark Edris is void.
Gorham's roar echoed off the stone as he strained against the guards. No one answered. The silence was the first true verdict. The elders drew close, their whispers a low rumble. Then Elder Groth rose, and the chamber fell still.
By unanimous decree of the Elder Council, the warrant against Mark Edris is annulled. He is innocent.
Mark's legs buckled. Tala and Rivek threw their arms around him, their sobs filling the silence.
For the massacre at Riven, for the murder of 24 Orc lives, a new warrant is issued. Commander Gorham Drennock stands accused.
You'll regret this. I have allies. This council is a farce.
The guards hauled him away, his curses fading down the stone corridor. The warrant that had defined 5 years was dead. Vezra stared at the empty space where her cousin had stood. A single tear tracked through the dust on her scarred cheek.
Vezra Drennock, you brought truth where there was only blood. The clan owes you a debt.
Debt. I hunted the wrong man for 5 years, but at least now the children can sleep without fear.
Mark stood free, the children clinging to him like a second chance. The warrant was rewritten, and the hunt was over. In the holding cell beneath the chamber, Vezra found Gorham shackled to the stone, his armor stripped.
You used my oath as a weapon. made me hunt an innocent man for 5 years.
And you did it gladly, cousin. You were so eager to believe a human could be a monster.
I see the monster now. It's not the human.
He lunged at the bars, spittle flying, but the chains held him like a dog.
A coward hiding behind rage. That's all you ever were. The hunt consumed me, Gorham. But that woman died in the orphanage. I am free.
She turned her back as the guards came to drag him to the council's justice. His curses faded down the stone corridor, like the last echo of a nightmare. The cell door slammed shut, and the hunt that consumed her life ended not at his throat, but at her own peace. When Vezra climbed back into the torchlight, Mark was waiting, his eyes still red-rimmed.
Vesra, I don't know how to thank you. You didn't just save my name. You gave me back my life.
Before she could answer, small arms wrapped around her waist. Tala and Revek pressed close, their tears warm against her armor.
You believed us. You didn't have to, but you did.
Vesra Drenok, your integrity has mended a wound the clan did not know it carried. We are in your debt.
She felt the weight of 5 years slip from her shoulders, like a worn-out pack.
For the first time in 5 years, she did not know where the trail led next, and it was enough. Debt or not, I hunted the wrong man, but the children are safe. That's what matters.
Mark laid a hand on her shoulder. For a moment, the bounty hunter and the fugitive stood not as enemies, but as something harder to name. The council's ruling was sealed. The hunt had consumed her. Now, at last, she was free. When the ramshackle orphanage came into view, the children tumbled from the cart like fledglings.
Home. It never looked so good.
Vezra dismounted slowly, her crossbow still slung over her shoulder. But now it felt like a stranger's weight.
This place almost became a grave. Instead, it became a beginning.
She followed Mark inside, the familiar scent of stew and wood smoke wrapping around her like a worn cloak. In the corner, her crossbow still hung where she'd left it. But now she saw it not as a tool, but a relic.
That weapon hunted the wrong man. It's time it retired.
Mark nodded, a quiet understanding passing between them. She lifted the crossbow and hung it high on the wall mount. A small hand slipped into hers. Tala looked up, her tusks still too large for her face, but her smile was whole. Vezra squeezed gently. The hunt was over. This was her ground now. Days later, the kitchen steamed with the scent of simmering herbs. Vezra stirred the pot, sleeves rolled to her elbows.
You are getting better at this. No more potato disasters.
Vezra's laugh surprised her, a low, rough sound she hadn't used in years. Mark looked up from chopping wood and grinned.
It's just stew, but it feels like more.
Later, Vezra paused by the wall where the original order now hung in a simple wooden frame.
That piece of paper nearly destroyed a good man. Now, it's just a reminder of how blind I was.
The children's laughter spilled through the doorway. Mark called her name, his voice easy now, no longer hunted.
Vezra, the stew's perfect. Sit with us.
She turned from the wall, her scarred face softened by the firelight, and took her place among them. Outside, the sun crested the trees, spilling gold over the orphanage. The hunt had consumed her. Now, at last, she had a home.